Hello everyone, here's how to do your own nose job at home. 2 years ago I made a video on how to correct a deviated septum, and that had a good amount of success, though it kept healing back in a deviated sort of way. So here's my updated version on how to fix your nose at home. Restore breathing through your nose. So usually, a deviated septum surgery its primary purpose, right, is to restore breathing. If that's the goal, and to sort of straighten out the look of the nose, then that's fine. This isn't necessarily to like shrink your nose or change its shape drastically or anything. If you want that, go for the surgery. It has its risks, etc. But here's my method to restore breathing. I'm into health and fitness and that sort of thing. So that was the main goal of this, project that I've spent quite a bit of time on. And yeah, so you are going to need an assortment of nose vents. I've got these blue ones right here. These are flexible and they're long for deviated septums that are a bit higher up in the nose. I've also got these nose vents that are a bit shorter. They're also flexible. They're a bit wider as well, and they have a hook on them. And lastly, I've got these hard nose vents that I use for internal support while I make, while I make these customized. Now, what exactly are we doing here? We're making a customized mold that's the same shape as the inside of your nose. That way you can set it to, quote, set your nose straight. And then with some good old scar tissue massage, we can massage out the scar tissue, which is what causes that deviation, and then set it straight while it heals, and then the straightness stays, basically. You also need a skin-safe plastic that melts in hot water. This one is actually used for the mouth, so it's safe for the inside of your nose. By the way, I sell these all in a kit. This video is sponsored by me. Of course, you can find all materials yourself, but I made it easy and convenient given that some of these materials I can generally only find in bulk, so that's kind of why I made the kit. Now, this is a two-step process. The first step is to dilate, and the second step is to de-deviate, is what I call it anyway. With these nose vents, there are 4 different sizes: tiny, small, medium, and large. And basically, you're going to start with the smallest size that can fit you. So when I started with the smallest size. That's going to open up your airways. You want a size that stretches out your airways. Your goal here is to increase the width of your airways. Now, this isn't going to make your nose look much larger. I'll throw up a picture of my before. I don't think my nose looks that much larger yet. I can fit quite a bit larger of a size of nose vent. So here's the second to largest one. And I used to not be able to fit this one at all, and now I can. So just like with your ears, how you can make that whole, what are they called, gauges, how you can stretch your ears to be larger and larger, you can do the same thing with your nose, and you're really only stretching it a couple of millimeters at most, but those few millimeters make a huge difference as far as like airflow goes into your nose. The second step is the scar tissue massage process. So my kit comes with scar cream. You can get your own. You can get it from my kit. But all you're going to do is take the scar cream to the inside of your nose. You really don't need much. And you're going to massage your septum in the opposite way that it is deviated. Now, there are a number of types of deviated septum. Mine is a C, what's called like a C deviated septum. So my septum is deviated into a C shape. So what I'm going to do is massage it in the opposite direction of that C shape. The septum is like this, or at least it was. It's still slightly C-shaped. This process doesn't make it perfect in my experience so far. If it does get perfect after another year or so, I'll make another update, but it's like 80% better. It looks pretty straight, and I can breathe, which is really all I want. So I'm going in the opposite direction of that C shape, and you might hear some like crackling. Now, there isn't much crackling right now because I already have gone through this process, but I'll throw up a clip. You can, if I can find it, you should be able to hear the crackling there for sure. But as you can see, I'm only massaging it in the opposite way of the deviated septum. Now, how do you know what type of deviated septum you have? Just feel up in your nose, right? The nose vents only go up a certain way up your nose, right? So it's only going to be able to treat up to there. So if you feel an S shape, there's a type of deviated septum called an S-shaped deviated septum. Massage in the opposite S shape. I would go this way up top and the opposite way up on the bottom, right? Or if the S goes in the other direction, you would do the exact opposite, right? There's also a type of deviated septum called like a bone spur deviated septum, where it comes out like a shelf. Now that version I really don't have a solution for. I apologize. I wasn't able to figure out a solution for that. That might just require surgery. But for the time being, you can at least expand the size of your airways to perhaps breathe past it, at least in your other nostril, and if you can get it wide enough past the shelf of, bone spur. But the good thing, the most common type of deviated septum is C-shape or S-shape. So massage in the opposite direction of however your deviated septum deviates. And what you want is a feeling of your septum being, I'm going to be kind of nasally here, being very loose and pliable. Now, when you first do it, your septum is going to feel really stiff, most likely, unless it's thin. But after a while, it's going to be nice and pliable, and that's right where you want it. Now, it's time to make the customized mold. Now, in my example video, I'm going to be using this type of nose vent, but you can also do it with this type of nose vent. Now, my old kits only have these two types of nose vent. My newer ones should have these updated ones for people whose deviated septums are higher up into their nose. The old kit was cheaper, so that's kind of the trade-off there. Before I made these sort of upgrades so that it could help more people out, a larger percentage of deviated septumed folks. So in my video, I'm going to be showing with this older version. If you have a newer, if you want to use these, not that one is better than the other, but if your deviated septum goes higher, it's better to use these ones. If your deviated septum is lower in the nose, like bottom half versus bottom 2/3, right? I would go with these. They're more solid. So let's see how you do it. Alrighty, the first step is to pour your plastic into boiling hot water. It should turn clear very quickly, and that's how you know it's moldable and ready to go. You can use anything. I'm using a spoon here to combine them all together. You have about 15 minutes of work time, which should be plenty of time, but if you do mess up, you can always put it back in the warm water, and it'll be ready to go again. Now, this is the size that fits me. All you need for the blue version is the foam, the blue nose vent, and the plastic. It's a bit simpler of a process. I find that if you use the hard nose vents inside of these, they get stuck together. So you just have to be a bit more careful if you're going to be doing it with this version. So while it is more difficult, the process is a little bit more simple. So here is our plastic. Let's put this hot water off to the side. I'm going to store it right here. And next, grab your foam, roll them into little points. So we're going to let those fill in, and then get started with this plastic. Now for the blue version, because you have these grooves here, I find that it's not as important to get full wrappage, which also helps them fit a little nicer. So for these blue versions, what I like to do is start with this thin guy, start it on the inside, like so, loop it around, make sure that the plastic isn't shorter than this nose, than the bottom bit right here. So that way these can slide in as much as they need to, and then any excess can just be sort of formed right here. Now the plastic should lock into these grooves, but just for added security, I like to take two really little pieces, roll them out into these flat little guys like this, wrap them around, combine, same with the other, going to lengthen it, flatten. This is going to be like way up your nose, so it's really important not to have too much plastic at the end here, or it probably won't fit. And it's done. So let's put it on. Lubricate the nose, do a little, and hold the septum. Now, for the white version, I do recommend inserting the hard plastic vent. This will be removed later. It adds more structure and allows you to really get a tight squeeze on your nose for setting it straight, which is much harder to do with the blue version. It's still possible, of course, but that's why I recommend you use the white version unless the deviation is higher up in your nose. It just makes it easier to work with. But the process, is the same. Insert, hold the nose straight, let it dry for 10 minutes, remove, and then use it every night before you go to sleep. After it dries, of course, make sure to remove both the foam inserts as well as the hard plastic insert. It can be kind of a tricky process to do so, but if you made the plastic pretty decent, it shouldn't be too bad. Alright, last but not least, let's go over protocol. So, first step was to dilate. That means wear the largest size of nose vent that you can without any of the molding on it. Increase the size of the nose vent you can wear by 1 or 2 sizes over a number of weeks. It might take up to 3 to 6 weeks to be able to wear a bigger size comfortably, and that will allow you to just do better work as far as correcting the septum, as well as open up narrow passages, narrow airways. Step 2 was to make the deviated septum corrector. So how you use these is you're going to massage the scar tissue like I showed in the video, earlier in the video, every single night, and then put in the nose vent right before you go to bed. The process of correcting it can be somewhat achy and painful, which is why I recommend you wear it while you sleep, so you're not necessarily aware of that. If you're more comfortable, and you want faster results, you can wear it during the day as well. That'll give you even faster results. Just make sure to take them out and re-massage the deviated septum a couple of times a day if you can. And yeah, that's about it. You should see results in 1 to 2 months, I found. Maybe a little longer if the deviation is more extreme, or perhaps you don't respond very well to scar tissue massage. Some people just don't. But I think it's really worth trying. So try it at home, let me know how it goes, and yeah, that's about it.